So sailing around the world is risky. No matter how hard you try, you're never going to completely eliminate the risk. But what if you could buy a boat that eliminated as much risk as humanly possible without sacrificing comfort? Well, you'd be buying a expensive boat. Designing and building a blue water boat is always a compromise between three things: seaworthiness, comfort, and affordability. Now, for most of human history, seaworthiness was the main factor to consider when choosing a boat for long distance voyaging. But today, the vast majority of new blue water boats are designed from the ground up to be sold at boat shows. And seaworthiness is something that's just not very marketable, since green sailors have a hard time seeing seaworthiness at a glance. So boats that value seaworthiness struggle to compete when their interiors are smaller and their price tags are bigger than the rest of the competition at these boat shows. But there's one up-and-coming boat builder that just flat out refuses to play this game. Kraken Yachts, led by founder Dick Beaumont, have decided that they will stop at nothing to build the most seaworthy blue water long-distance voyaging sailboat in the world, and they plan on doing it without sacrificing comfort, which I'll be the first to admit does make them a little pricey. So it really begged the question, what do you get when you spend over $1 million on a blue water sailboat? We were given the opportunity this week to answer that question when we were invited to take a tour of the Kraken yard, as well as to take out a Kraken 50 for a test sail and to do a full review. But after this experience, we've got another question that we need to answer. Is it time for us to upgrade?
That is beautiful.
Oh my gosh, you can do the whole thing one-handed. Well, Dick, there's nothing quite like sailing a boat that's gonna be yours.
I'd like to make that dream come true.
Okay, so we are here at Kraken headquarters in the probably coolest boat yard office or boat building office that I've ever seen in my life, because we can see like all the boats being built right down there. This is the Kraken team. Hello, Kraken team. Thank you for having us. And then over here, this is Dick Beaumont, owner,
Hi, Jordan.
founder.
Thanks for coming.
So Dick has been kind enough to give us a tour of the facilities, see how Krakens are made. Let's get down there and check it out. Okay, so we are now gonna be looking at the underbody of, this is a Kraken 50, right?
It's a 50.
To me, what I really have found fascinating about Krakens is that they take the underbody very seriously, and they've gone further than anybody in making sure that the underbody is strong and has good performance, and they've done that with this keel here. And this is the zero keel.
It's called the zero keel because there are 0 bolts. It's an integral keel. It means this and this is all made out of one piece. In a standard integral keel, to get the weight into it, you've got to stack it up high. But in the zero keel, all the ballast is in that torpedo. And that gives you fantastic righting moment.
When we got Atticus 1, I wanted a full keel because I wanted an integrated ballast, basically, right? Like you want your keel glassed into the hull, but there is so many performance drawbacks to that hull shape. This has every single benefit of a full keel, and yet it's got all the performance benefits of a bolted on fin keel, and yet it's got a cruiser shape to it, right? It's not super high aspect, it's long, and then like you said, you get the ballast all the way down at the bottom.
Another thing I'd like to just draw to your attention, Jordan, while we're here, you wouldn't notice it unless it's pointed out. There's a very shallow V here. What's easier to build is a nice radius. It's simple. But there's your slamming, and a Kraken doesn't slam. It's got a cut into the wave, and so that's why we put this in the forefoot here.
Yeah, and you can definitely see it as you move back and forth, like there's no flat part.
It's sitting in the cradle coming back this way. It runs right down into the stem of the keel there. This is a critical area, of course, is what's going on back here.
Yeah, so look at that. You got a full skeg, so the rudder is completely protected, and then you've got the rudder connected and pivoting at the very base of the skeg.
Yeah,
so.
But what you can't see, but we will show you, inside here is a massive stainless steel beam. And that comes up and inside the hull, and all of this is protecting the vital element of the rudder.
So this is the 58.
This is a big...
It looks like a big boat.
Yeah.
This is so cool. Like, it's hard for me to not understate how fun it is to look at a boat in this state of completion. For example, so this is all like high density foam. So all of the bulkheads are...
All.
Wow, that's
We
so
don't
cool.
use any ply.
That makes it so strong and saves weight. Every single bulkhead is glassed so substantially to the hull. So next, Dick wants to show me the Kraken's really unique chain plate arrangement that they've got. And to just kind of preface this, we were just chatting about how, you know, one of our sailing heroes, John Kretschmer, he just had a dismasting recently. And I bring that up to talk about how common of an issue it is, how serious of an issue it is, and how it happens even to people that are quite knowledgeable and quite aware of how boat systems fail and what to do to maintain them. And so it's a real problem. So Dick has a really interesting solution to the issue of keeping the stick up and on the boat.
In a Kraken, this is the chain plate toggle. You look at the weight and the thickness of this metal, it's huge. But it doesn't run down here as it would in a normal chain plate arrangement. This has a bar that runs through the center of this. The actual chain plate stops about here, and the bar runs in here either side. And this chain plate goes in under the hull flange. Inside here is carbon fiber too. And then the deck goes on, and then the bulwark goes on the top of that. And the only way that that can ever fail has nothing to do with metal fatigue. You would have to pull this bar, you'd have to pull that out through this triple layer of deck. It's not possible.
Yeah.
And therefore your chain plate can never fail. What we've done is we've eliminated the possibility that metal fatigue can cause you to lose your rig.
The whole metal fatigue concept, I think, is easy to grasp when you think about the best way to break a paper clip. So the simplest way to break a paper clip is you just bend it over and over and over and over again in the same spot, and then it'll break. And that's exactly what happens to chain plates. It's like you get that same exact bend 10,000 times or whatever, like little micro pulls on it, right? And instantaneous forces, you know, just giving it a little bit of a bend, and eventually that can break it.
Through the center of this is this bloody great bar.
Wow, that thing is heavy.
Here in the metal workshop. Now let's talk about substantial boats that don't sink. That's what's in the center of that skeg.
Yeah.
That's the baby. That's what's in the inside of the boat. That's what's protecting the rudder. That's what's stopping the orcas tear it off.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to stop you being wrecked because your steering's been compromised when you go on.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's like, not only is it big that way, but I mean, this thing is thick, dude. What is that, like ½ inch or something?
Yeah, that's 10 mil.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, yeah. Oh. Quick visit to the doctor and I'll be back to filming.
If you want to build boats like Kraken, you have to give up on light.
Oh, whoa. This is awesome.
This is our CNC cutting machine. This is cutting precise CNC so that the joinery is perfect. That's a Kraken fiddle, and it's radiused on the inside.
Yeah, no kidding. Whoa, that is super cool.
Right?
Wow, I've never seen that.
It's a nice piece of joinery, eh? The difference is when you're holding it, it feels good.
Totally.
The straight flat edge on there wouldn't feel the
Right,
same.
yeah. Okay, so we are now in the lamination shed.
Yeah, this is a separate shipyard. The boats are demolded here. Once they're finished, they're taken out up the road and they go into the top shed you've just been visited. And here you see the mold just about to the point that we're just about to start laminating a new hull. We've got 2 more layers of wax and polishing to go. Then the next thing is gel coat spraying. And then after that, we put the skin coat. That has to go while the gel coat's wet. And after that, we layer up the dry fibers, then we infuse. And here you can see why I can tell you that there is no movement in a Kraken hull. That chain plate is bonded in, as you know, underneath. Then it comes down, it's bonded to this frame. And this frame runs all the way down the boat, all the way down here, right into the bottom of the keel. And You don't need a structural engineer to tell you that ain't going anywhere ever.
Right, yeah.
And that's the difference of the Kraken.
Yeah.
Really, that's the major difference.
And so tell me the story about how you founded Kraken.
It was quite tough to find a boat with all the criteria that I really wanted in a boat. That's to say, an integral keel, a very heavily laid up hull, fully protected rudder with a full skeg. And all of a sudden, the whole industry seemed to have got hold of all of those core ideas that have been the basis of ocean voyages ever since. Got all of that, like, went, nah, I tell you what, we're going in a different direction. Because of the miles I've done and know that you have to have a boat that you can completely rely on in all of the tough conditions that occur, and has been de-risked as far as you can de-risk it.
All right, so we are going to now actually get to test sail a Kraken 50.
Which is this beautiful bad boy right behind these beautiful ladies. That's right, Issa's got her captain outfit on.
Captain.
She is very unimpressed.
She needs a nap. We're gonna test the sleeping quarters first of the Kraken 50.
Yeah, but look at that boat, man. That is beautiful.
Hey,
what you doing,
are
baby?
you having fun? All right, buddy, show us around. What do you think?
Well, we start in the main salon, which is super, super spacious and just really comfortable. I really like how there's a lot of lighting around, so I don't feel like I'm in this dark cave. Yeah, I can see the sail from here, actually. I can see the sky.
Whoa, that's so trippy. So like sitting in the main salon, you can take a look at the sails. That's cool. So right here is the main salon table, and then right here is the captain's seat, which, holy moly, I've seen pictures of this, and this is easily my favorite part of these boats, because you can basically stand your entire watch here sitting with all of the information in front of you and complete visibility. Like, you can see the horizon everywhere around you. And as Dick was just saying, you actually get a view under the sails from here because you're kind of forward and you're so close to the deck. So you actually have a better view here than you would from the cockpit. My favorite parts of the interior are gonna be the captain's chair here, and then what I'm about to show you, which is so clever. First of all, this part of the settee slides out of the way. You open this door. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Buddy. Look at this. This is the coolest equipment space and engine space I think I've ever seen on a boat that's like under 60 or 70 feet. This is all the electrical, all the plumbing, the water maker, the generator, the fuel filtration system, the main engine, all the equipment that you're gonna need to do maintenance on regularly is all in here. Maintenance and doing a good job with maintenance fully relies on accessibility. Like, how easy is it to get to all that stuff? And I think there's a lot of boats, the vast majority of boats being built now in this size range, they're gonna have larger interiors. They're gonna have bigger bathrooms. They're gonna have, like, everything's gonna be a little bit bigger, but they're not gonna have this. If you're not careful about how you design a boat like this with all these complicated systems, you're gonna spend half your life maintaining them because they're so hard to get to. But if you have easy access to it and you can easily repair and fix those things as they break, that means that it's gonna take up a minimal part of your life to keep these systems functioning.
So we got the galley here. I guess this is an induction stove gimbaled.
And so one of the core premises of these Kraken boats is to try to reduce risk as much as possible, right? And one of the major risks for a cruising sailboat is fire. And so Dick was very adamant about making sure that there's no gas on board. So there's absolutely no propane. All the cooking is done with electric induction, just to reduce the risk of fire that much. And, you know, propane is a real issue on boats, so I think that is cool.
And not only that, we know on Atticus too, it has been a little inconvenient trying to fill up our propane tank in every country we go to, and there are different fittings and everything, so not having to do that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Also, we have ventilation we're cooking.
And that actually ventilates. Like, it's not just a grease catchment, like filter, that actually takes the air and throws it outside.
Which is really cool because, again, on Atticus 2, it's kind of like this enclosed box, or like we are in a cave. And if we have all of our hatches closed, maybe because it's raining or something, all the oils and everything from cooking kind of build up eventually. And as far as prep space, there's plenty in this galley. They've got a custom cutting board here that fits here, so you can do your prep on this side. And what's pretty cool is on the left here, you've got a compost bin that you can remove, just toss it overboard. And then on this side, you've got the trash. So I'm just cutting trash, cutting, this, boom, 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 boom.
Nice. Good job, Betty.
Now on Atticus 2, we have a drop-down fridge and freezer, so actually accessing all of my fruits and vegetables and meats is kind of a hassle. Like, a lot of times I call it dumpster diving. I've got to like jump in there and like root around and try to find what I actually need. It is such a pain to go, as I call it, dumpster diving. So if I wanted to access that section down there,
You have to lift all the stuff out. Take
Yeah.
everything out.
right, and that's just not practical when we're underway. And when we're at anchor, it's just really annoying and I don't like doing it. This is really cool because it's like everything I need is right at my fingertips. They're drawers, so I can organize this so easily, and without, you know, dumpster diving, I can get what I want immediately. Last feature of this super cool galley is, I'll just demonstrate it. Boom, boiling hot water in like, I don't know, 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? So
And
this
it's
totally
literally boiling.
yeah, this totally eliminates the necessity to have a water kettle like this one, which can just go flying through the air when you're sailing, and scalding hot water flying through the air is not something you want on a sailboat. So yeah, just so awesome.
Being on camera all day while touring a large facility like Kraken requires a lot of energy. But luckily, we were sufficiently caffeinated with the help of our new favorite coffee making device, and it also happens to be the sponsor of this episode, AeroPress. AeroPress is a lot like a French press, but it makes a much better cup of coffee. AeroPress uses a patented 3-in-1 brew technology. With over 55,000 5-star reviews from over 60 countries, AeroPress is the best reviewed coffee press on the planet. And at just under $50 with all of those positive reviews, AeroPress makes a really good gift. And we've got an incredible offer for our audience. Visit aeropress.com/Atticus. That's AEROPRESS.com/ATTICUS, and make sure you use promo code Atticus to get 20% off your order. That's aeropress.com/Atticus, and make sure you use promo code Atticus at checkout to get 20% off. It's time to ditch the drive-thru, toss the French press, and say yes to better mornings fueled by better coffee. AeroPress ships to the United States as well as 60 other countries throughout the world, and I want to say thank you to AeroPress for sponsoring this video.
Over here is my cabin.
Wow, so yeah, look at that. I mean, that's big, man.
That's
and I
big.
like how it's an actual rectangle, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's not some funny shape.
It feels like we're in a hotel room right now.
Wow.
Not a boat.
And the vents for the air conditioning are like hidden up here.
Oh,
and
that's cool.
It's so cold in
Yeah.
the boat. That's one thing we haven't talked about yet. Like, it's a hot day today, and it's so pleasant down here.
That's true, yeah.
But yeah, so big closet space on this side and that side. And then tons of storage under here.
That's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Two cool features of the bed. One of them is when you're underway and you might be getting jostled around, you don't want to fall off the edge of the bed. The other side has this as well. You actually have,
It's like a lee cloth.
Like a lee cloth.
A lee board.
yeah, I'm not going anywhere. This would have been great when I was co-sleeping with Issa. Second cool feature, which I'm obsessed with, is, oh my God, look at that. I'm not even holding this bad boy up. And then I've got all this storage space, so I could store like our winter gear or our like camping gear, things that we don't use very often or
Yeah.
that we use seasonally. Okay, and then we've got the main cabin head. Yeah, I like the head. It's got a separate shower, which is great for a sailboat. And up here on the port side, we've got a toilet. This one is actually really spacious and feels pretty open. And on the starboard side, you've got this huge shower.
The heads are definitely small, but you've got 2 separate heads, 2 separate showers. That's pretty sweet. That's huge for me.
Okay, then up forward on the starboard side, we've got a double bunk here. Isabella actually took her nap right here and she found it very comfortable. But yeah, as far as like having kids or even guests, like this is really all the room you need, just a place to sleep. There's a really huge closet behind the door here for their luggage. Very simple, but gets the job done cabin. Then we've got the port side cabin. So this is the forward kind of like V-berth of the boat, but they've actually separated it so that it's 2 cabins. Yeah. And this way you could actually fit a lot of crew and passengers on this boat. Whew. All right, I think we've got everything. Ready to go for a sail?
Yes, let's go. So how many RPMs does this cruise at? What's the...
2-3 is good. It's going to give you about 7 knots. This is Kraken's application to short-handed sailing.
Yeah.
There's your winch.
Yeah.
On there. There's your out hole there.
Oh my gosh. You can do the whole thing one-handed.
Yeah, one-handed. That's how simple it is to set and furl the main.
Okay, so going out, and then tension. And then out.
Just keep going
out. Okay.
Just keep going. Once you're getting wind in it, it'll start to pull out anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna do a quick on-deck tour of the boat. And to me, I mean, there's so much to like about this boat down below, but there's so many little thoughts and little ideas put into how the boat sails and how the deck is laid out. So it really is just like such a good boat for long distance voyaging. So a couple of things up here is the boat has these 2 massive cleats on the bow. There's 2 cleats midship and there's 2 cleats aft. And these things are insanely strong. Like you don't need to worry about if you end up towing something or getting towed or running out a para anchor or whatever. They also are on the cap rail, right? And then there's no need for fair leads or anything, so you're gonna get less chafing. It's just boom, the line goes out to whatever, and it doesn't touch anything but the cleat, which is awesome. A couple other things to note are the Solent rig, which I am a really big fan of a Solent rig. I mean, any kind of rig is gonna have compromises, right? And obviously the big compromise of a Solent rig is gonna be the necessity to, you know, furl and unfurl the Genoa when you tack. But the nice thing about it is that the jib is actually pretty big. So it's not like a staysail on a cutter. And you can tack back and forth and beat up a channel if you want with a relatively big sail, as opposed to like a cutter where you're doing that with a fairly small sail. But the thing I love about the Solent rig is you can use the dual pulls on the mast to pull out the Genoa and pull out the jib for a really quick, really easy, and yet like ideal downwind rig. And then at that point, both your head sails are reefable, so you can have exactly the right amount of sail area up for any amount of wind when going downwind. This is actually like one of the simplest things, and yet one of the things I'm most excited about. The one problem in my book with specialty sails is that they're almost always stored in a cockpit locker, and they're almost always stored under a bunch of other stuff, right? This boat has a sail storage right here on the bow so that you can store your specialty sails right here where you need them. Another neat thing about this is because this is just a storage area, these are watertight bulkheads. So if the boat were to impact anything on the bow, this whole compartment could fill up, the rest of the boat wouldn't be affected. Then this whole compartment could fill up, the rest of the boat wouldn't be affected. And that is just a massive safety feature. Basically, everything at the waterline on the bow, you know, the stem just above the waterline, just below the waterline, where you could hit something is 18 inches of pure fiberglass, insanely thick, insanely strong. And then Dick was just saying that they also lay up Kevlar instead of just typical fiberglass to even further strengthen like the entire stem and center line of the boat all the way down to the keel. Pretty cool stuff, man, because when you're 1,000 miles away from land, it's kind of nice knowing that you're probably not gonna sink, you know? So you've got the tall lifelines, you've got the triple lifelines, which is, I don't think I've ever seen that before. You've got this little nook for your foot so that you're not gonna slip off of the bulwark, which is great. And all of that keeps you on the boat if you do have to go forward. And from what I can tell, one of the few reasons you ever would need to go forward would be to set these awesome double pole setup. So they look carbon fiber to me, I'm assuming they are, which is cool because when you're setting up these things, they're kind of massive, right? So if they're heavy, that's kind of a problem, but these are gonna be, for what they are, for how strong they are, for how big they are, they're gonna be extremely light. Yep. And then you've got the dual setup, but what's cool is they're both fixed length to match the sails that you're gonna be dealing with. So the longer one goes on the Genoa, the shorter one goes on the jib. So the other thing that's neat about center cockpits is the ability to have this aft deck area. And what they've done here is basically added a tremendous amount of storage in this area. Below me here is the dedicated life raft storage area. And then you've got two big compartments here that are going to be used for just general storage, as well as accessing like steerage. You can access the rudder post here, you can access the bearings, the autopilot, all that stuff. And this whole area down here is a giant storage locker. It's so cool to have so much storage. You could put inflatable kayaks, paddle boards, you know, snorkel gear, like all of that fun stuff that gets wet could all come down in here. And then the nice thing about this also is that the bulkhead that's in the front of it is watertight. So if you had any kind of collision astern, you wouldn't be filling the boat with water.
Yeah, here we go, eh? We're 24 ton, there's 8 knots of wind, and we're doing 6. And that ain't too bad, eh?
Yeah, no, it's not bad at all.
Life is good.
Well, Dick, there's nothing quite like sailing a boat that's gonna be yours soon, you know? This is awesome, man. This is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, the wind is really light.
We've got the main and the Genoa up. This is what we were talking about, right? Where this is where having the ballast really low in the keel lets you have a taller rig, lets you have like larger sail area as a standard amount of sail area. And so that's why you can get a heavy, strong boat to be moving in like a breath of wind like this, which is really cool. Okay, so now to the underway command station. I mean, obviously there's the captain's chair down below, but like, again, this is a really awesome navigation station. So you got a really big wheel, which is really cool. Feel very, you know, salty holding this thing. But what's most important is that this boat is designed to be single-handed or to be sailed with a really small crew, right? And so I can be here at the helm. I see all of the information that I need to see in front of me. And then I can trim all the sails from right here, right? I can trim all the sheets. In fact, on Atticus too, I can't trim the mainsail, right? I can't pull in on the main sheet, but on this boat, that's right here. So with a hand on the wheel, I can trim the main. I can also trim the Genoa here using the electric winch. Heads up, guys. So there you go. It's amazing how much you can do from all right here with very little effort too. So a couple other features that I like is the seat here. It's like a U seat, so if we're heeling over, you can always find a spot in the chair where you're comfortable. You're not gonna slide down, right? There's these tiny seats on either side, which is for, like we were talking about, when you're doing your handover, you know, you're about to go on your off watch, you're catching up the next person on all the information they need to know. They can sit here as you point everything out before they take over the big seat. This is the standard bimini structure, so it's almost like a hardtop because it's flat. It's a much more like robust and rigid grid structure than a typical bimini. So just a lot of really nice thought put into how can one person control such a big, heavy, powerful boat with a relative amount of ease, and I think they definitely nailed it. Yeah, so right now I'm furling in the Genoa using my thumb. Well, I got a little bit of help. He's easing the Genoa sheet, but you could easily be doing this yourself. Got it. Okay, ready about? Ready about?
Ready about?
Uh-huh, that's what I thought. Okay, so I'm going to be letting the Genoa out using my toe to bring the sheet in. Okay, nice one. That is definitely the least effort I've ever put into driving a boat. So for everyone in every stage of budget, assuming they can't afford a Kraken, what is your advice in regards to making it happen?
Don't buy the boat for its home comforts. Buy the boat that is going to take you across oceans. Whatever that boat is, not necessarily saying a Kraken, whatever that boat is, if you feel comfort, if you feel secure in it, that will enhance your living aboard experience to a much greater level than furnishings or, you know, more space. You don't give a damn about more space when it's blowing like hell. Actually, you just want to know your boat's not going to break up.
I just want to say that it's been a real pleasure getting to know your operation and getting to see it, getting to spend some time with you and hear all your amazing stories. And I just want to say that I, for one, and I'm one of many, that really appreciate to see someone out there and a team of people out there who are trying to make the best damn product that they possibly can, going as far as you possibly can towards making something as excellent as they can. I think it's really cool. So
wow, that's really nice. It does make it all worthwhile, and you know, you say those things. I appreciate that, and I especially appreciate, you know, the amount of time you've spent coming and seeing us, and it's been great talking about all the adventures.
Okay, Isabella, did you have fun on the boat? Was that so much fun? So what did you think of the Kraken 50, buddy?
Yeah, I definitely had that kind of like falling in love experience with it, you know, just being inside and getting cozy with Isa and then feeling how nice the ride was. But I was also surprised coming back to Atticus after spending a whole day on $1 million yacht that I'm really happy with our boat, you know, like I love our home and it really does have everything we need.
Isabella agrees. So obviously the Kraken 50 and the entire Kraken line of sailboats are awesome. But the big question kind of becomes, are they worth the price? And I think that the concept of a boat being expensive is super relative, right? Like to some people, their budget for a Bluewater boat is over $1 million. And so for people in that situation, and for people who want to use money as a way to reduce their risk of sailing long distance, sailing offshore, sailing to the remote parts of the world, then a Kraken is the perfect boat for them. So that leads me to the next question, which is it time for us to upgrade? The short answer is no. Atticus 2 is the perfect boat for us right now. Not to mention, we don't have $1 million just sitting in the bank account. But I will say that I am totally open to the idea of someday upgrading to a Kraken. And the reason is because if we want to keep sailing after we have 2 or even 3 kids, right? We've been kind of talking about having more. And we wanted to push it and go to really extreme places like Antarctica or Greenland. And we wanted to do that with children. I would want to reduce our risk as much as possible, period. And so something like trying to finance a Kraken would maybe be a good move for us in that situation. But for right now, the way that things are going, we're very, very happy on Atticus 2, and we're gonna keep sailing her. One quick thing I wanna mention is that throughout this video, we've talked about this concept of seaworthiness. And I just wanted to express that I'm kind of grouping a lot into that word or concept of seaworthiness. What I really mean is like a boat's ability to be safe and handle well in extreme conditions when offshore, but I also mean a boat's ability to survive like a hard grounding when sailing or exploring places where the charting is really poor and inaccurate. I also am thinking about situations where like a boat hits another boat at anchor, or when a boat hits a floating object when sailing out at sea, right? So like there's a lot of situations and scenarios that I'm kind of clumping into this concept of seaworthiness. But I think you can kind of get the idea of what I'm getting at here. And finally, Dick wanted us to make an announcement on Kraken's behalf. This is something that's totally new, so it's very exciting. Kraken has been doing really well with sales. They've been selling boats, which is awesome. And in fact, their sales demand is outstripping their production capacity. And so they've got some exciting news. They are going to be expanding their operation to Poland. So they're going to have one site in Poland, one site in Turkey. They're going to be able to produce way more boats with this new arrangement. Personally, I'm just thrilled that Kraken is doing well, that there is a demand out there for these boats. So that's all really exciting stuff. If you'd like to learn more, check out Kraken's website. You can also check out their YouTube channel. They've got a ton of really cool content about their boats, as well as just kind of getting into Dick's brain and investigating his whole approach towards boat building and design. And we'll link to both of those in the description below. And finally, I want to end this episode on a few words from Dick that we had in our interview.
If you want the adventure, then, you know, you are going outside your comfort zone, aren't you? And a lot of people have their adventures in their different ways, and that's a great thing. But don't die thinking, I wish I'd done this or I wish I'd done that. It is still a very, very beautiful world. And there is no better way of seeing it from the deck of your own sailboat. There's no better way.